Well, one of the things we've said that we would do right off the bat is appoint a city director for public health. We've never had one of those at the city, but the county's doing a good job now. I mean, it's a difficult challenge, but I think we need a voice from the city for the city. And so we would appoint a director of public health. So we've got somebody in the Chattanooga mayor's office working with the county to make sure we can accelerate to the extent that we can the rate of vaccinations and to work on public health disparities beyond COVID, even after we get past the COVID crisis, because it's just the tip of the iceberg. The COVID crisis has really revealed a lot of health disparities, particularly between the African American community and the white community, and so that position is going to be important to help close those gaps. Yeah, I mean, I do, because I think, if you look at the rate of vaccinations, depending on which school of thought you're in, you hit one threshold once you get to 51%. And at the rate we're going, President Biden has said he thinks we can get the whole country vaccinated, I think, by the end of May? I mean, that's pretty aggressive, but at the rate it's going, so I do see that in sight, and I'm looking very forward to it. I know everybody is. Well, I'm a small business guy and I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm all about creating wealth in any way, shape, and form. In the larger sense, I mean, Chattanooga's got to get back into business, working with the Chamber of Commerce to bring jobs in here, higher paying jobs. So I would do that. I've been on the Chamber of Commerce board a couple times, and so that's got to happen. Specifically for the Black and Hispanic communities, we've got plans up on our website at kellyforcha.com for both the Hispanic and the African American community around this, and it ranges really around my background in entrepreneurship and small business. One of the things we would do right off the bat is start a one-stop shop for small business support, and after COVID, really turn that into a support center for building small businesses in the African American community, in the minority communities in particular, resource centers. If you can't produce a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement, you can't go to a bank and get a loan to grow your business. And a lot of the entrepreneurs I know just don't have the skill set to do that. But it's not hard to learn if we've got the resource to teach them. But my overall vision, really, as mayor, is to grow wealth in the community generally, but specifically to build back a healthy black middle class. And again, you do that by helping grow business. I should also mention skilled trades is a big part of where I'm pushing. I've got the support of all the major skilled trade labor unions, in fact, all the local labor unions, because working with Dr. Johnson at the school system, we have a huge opportunity to get people back in gear and show them opportunities in skilled trades. You can make a lot of money as a carpenter or a welder or a pipe fitter, and those jobs are going unfilled. Those internships a lot of times don't have a pipeline, particularly from the minority community. So there's a tremendous opportunity there to create wealth, and there are a lot of jobs available. So that's part of it as well. Oh yeah. So what happened in East Lake was really tragic. We had lot of COVID deaths there. We would add an office of immigrant services, essentially, with Spanish-speaking personnel at the city, so that never happens again. So that things aren't getting translated into Spanish or into some native Guatemalan languages, a week later, and then kind of posted on a bulletin board. We would put an active person in the office to work directly with those communities. Well, as you say, there are a lot, but I love a challenge, and I've got a good grip on it. I've done some hard things in my life, I'm good at building teams to get things done, which is really what business is. So there are a lot of them, but I will say probably the toughest one, and I think we're going to get to this later too, is this dual threat of homelessness and affordable housing. That's really, really come in sharply into focus since our campaign began. I mean, homelessness is up 81% year over year. I mean, it's out of hand. Anywhere in Chattanooga, you can see it. And at the same time, the number of houses on the market for people buying, let alone renting, has shrunk to an all-time low, I think, since they've been keeping records. So we've got to get on the front foot and grow the supply of affordable housing, all housing. Part of that has to do with making it easier for developers to invest in the city. Part of it has to do with creating incentives and capital pools so that people can get the capital to do the building. But we know that's going to be the toughest thing right out of the gate, because it's going to get worse before it gets better, I'm afraid, and that's a tough problem. Yeah, look, I mean, well, the youth are our future, and so I think a lot of the problems we've had, a lot of times stem from a sense of hopelessness. That that what's the point? Why does it matter? Why does it matter if I do well in school? Why does it matter, if I act right? And so I think the job of the mayor is to lead the city and to restore hope about what's possible. And I know that sounds a little touchy feely, but that's part of it. On a more tactical level, I think we need to get community centers and rec centers back up open, and get kids back to where they can go and be kids. And rec centers should be exactly that, recreation centers, right? You shouldn't have to jump through a lot of hoops to go shoot some hoops if that's what you want to do. So I'm a big sports guy. Obviously, started the soccer club here in town, and I would like to see more sports facilities built around town, because I mean, there's no better healthy way to stay physically healthy, to stay out of trouble, to engage, to learn teamwork. It's just the best. So I look forward to really rebooting parks and going back to Parks and Rec and investing more in recreation for kids here. I mean, that's me. That's who I am. I mean, I've run multiple small businesses here over the course of the last 30 years, from Kelly Cadillac, other dealerships, Subaru store, Chattanooga Brewing Company. Southern Honda Power Sports. It's a big business, but it's still a small business, right? And I've donated over $1 million to, like you say, sports teams, charities, local things. So you're exactly right. I mean, they're the backbone of our local economy. I want to say it's 90% of jobs are created by small businesses. So that's my world, and I'm all about small business support and creating resources at the city to help grow small businesses, to make sure they get the loans they need to grow, that they have the technical expertise to grow. Specific to the African American community, there's a disparity study done a few years back, and there are some real opportunities with minority business enterprises, both for contracts at the city and to grow them across the city in the private sector, and that's gone undone. So I look forward to finishing that work and expanding opportunity there. It's again, as I said earlier, homelessness is up 81% year over year. It's an epidemic problem. It's related to COVID, obviously. It's also related to the lack of affordable housing, but we have to address it. And the job of a mayor is to be the leader and kind of the orchestra conductor. And so, look, I used to volunteer down at the community kitchen with my wife for years, and I got a really good grip on the issues. So I would work with our nonprofit community, using city resources and using some of this federal aid to aggressively attack the problem. I mean, we had a tent city across from one of my businesses down on Workman Road. I mean, it looked like a medieval village, and it's tragic. And I went down there and visited, and went down there with Troy Rogers and took them some pizzas, and checked in what was going on, how were they, and they went in there a little later and just bulldozed it without any notice, which wasn't the right thing to do either. The city should have been out there for a couple of days ahead of time, probably interviewing folks, making sure. There's a great program at the county called Fuse. For a lot of them are struggling with mental illness issues, and this Fuse program is federally funded and has beds available to get people in there. It's co-hosted with a mental health professional to get them back on medication and get them in housing. So we have a full homelessness plan up on the website at kellyforcha.com, and it is a housing first model. So look, I think we need a low barrier shelter in Chattanooga. That's one of the things that we really need to get on quickly. And the question is where it goes. It's not one of those things anybody's going to want in their backyard, but we've got to have one to address the problem, because at current that's how you get these tent cities. There's nowhere. They just got to find a empty piece of land and pitch up. And so it is going to be the biggest challenge right out of the gate for the new mayor. Yeah, there is. I mean, I have no future political ambitions. I'm just a guy that loves Chattanooga. Um, both my parents were only children, so I don't have any aunts or uncles. My boys, one of them lives here, one of them lives in New York, and of course I live on Vine Street in Fort Wood with my wife Jenny. But I'm not trying to enter politics. I'm a guy who's been here for 30 years, seen a lot of these problems we've been sweeping under the rug, and I think it's going to take somebody without future political ambition who's trying to play a game and climb a ladder to fix some of this stuff. A lot of the issues we've been dealing with around education, around equity, around economic development are things that sometimes are uncomfortable, but it's going to take somebody with some political courage to tackle them and stay on them until we really start to make some progress. So that's what I want people to understand about me.